And we are ready to begin. We are so pleased you're here, and we've waited for you your entire lives. Now, today is very special because we're giving you a bonus. Now, we used the title of this particular video because we knew it would attract more attention, and we also knew that it would make our messenger a little uncomfortable, which is why we have given it to you before, but we gave it to you on this date 4 years ago. But we thought maybe you could understand it a bit more today as you've watched your lives and your world change, and you would know that you are the ones who must decide to be Christ. Now, we didn't say decide to be like, because that hasn't worked for you, because you keep forgetting that. So we wanted you to take a bigger jump, and so that's why we used that title. Now, as you can see in the message, we used that because it was referring to a video that we had our messenger here, and then he conveniently put it away, as many of you have. Now, we're speaking of this because we're not speaking of a particular person, we're speaking of an energy. We're speaking of a consciousness that you all possess. Now, you can use any sort of figure that might have come before in your world, but you all have the ability to be like Christ, to be that, to be whatever highest being you can imagine, because it's within all of you. Now, what we have given you is something different, however. We've said you're moving through a restructuring, so we wanted you to move beyond your limited ways of thinking and being before, and that comes through each of you. You each have these gifts and talents that you were meant to bring to the world, and you are meant to do it now. This is why we've said you are having a restructuring. Your world has been off balance, and it's been off balance for eons. We've said that, but that's a concept that many of you do not understand. But just think of centuries. This is why you're seeing all of the events occurring in your world, and we've had our messenger go to extraordinary lengths to bring you the information so that you would understand it. And as we've often said, his mission in this life was to bring together science, spirituality, and human potential. And that is what he has demonstrated through the work that we have given him. But again, we also said that you all possess cognitive dissonance, meaning you can't believe certain things. We have said we've given you everything that could cause you to live this magnificent life, and if more of you did it, you would also create a great world, because you're all born equal. You're all born with talents that no one else has, and you're meant to bring them into the world, but you've also had judgment. You also have ideologies that have existed before through your ancestors, through all those who came before, that you were meant to let go of now. This is why you are existing at this extraordinary time. This is why we have given you all of this work. And so in this last few weeks, we had our messenger do so many things to get you to understand, because you think things are happening accidentally, and they never are. We have given you everything in order. We mean that because you exist in a way that you have to develop your consciousness individually and then collectively, and there's just only so much that you will accept at a particular time. That is in your life, and that is it within your civilization. Over those centuries, you can see that you have evolved as individuals and as a humankind, but you're meant to do more of it now, which is why it seems so dynamic. Now, when you can understand how the planets and the galaxies shift, and those energies will affect each of you in different ways, you can understand why you're seeing the disruption in your lives and in your world. But the fact is, you're meant to bring it together, and you do that when you start to love yourself, when you start to embody every aspect of who you are and your life experience. We want you to remove any sorts of judgments that you've had on your life, because that's why we gave you the messages yesterday, and we had so many of them, and we had our messenger do a video where we said, you've never made a mistake, and you've never done anything wrong, and you can't fail. You only fail if you stop. And this is why we've given you this work, because you're in the process of creating something new. You're creating that new world. Now, many of you have heard of this time of Aquarius, but we're saying, yes, that is what is happening. And it wasn't supposed to happen before. We need more of you to let go of that idea that something from before was when you were supposed to do it. No, you're supposed to do it now, which is why we keep saying that your power exists in this present moment if you can let go of what was old and embrace what is new. Now, the reason you don't do that is because you fear the unknown, which is why we wanted to point that out. Our messenger has done the same thing, so we don't want you to judge yourselves. You don't know who you can become when you come into physical form. It's an open-ended thing, and you each make choices as to how far you will move. And how far you will move depends on how much you are willing to accept and believe within yourself, within your individual journey. But we have said they are all valuable. And we also said there are no hierarchy of souls. And when you can get that into your consciousness, then you start to live the life you're meant to have, and then you help the rest of all that is, the rest of humankind, because you each have that ability. If you can actually feel for a moment that there's no one that has any more than you, and you're not any better than anyone else, then you start to reach this higher state of consciousness that we wanted more of you to reach, and then you'll start to see a very different world, because you're supposed to have a great life. We keep using terms like you were born to do something extraordinary, because we know that that is true. There is no human that was born without magical abilities and talents. You just have interpreted them incorrectly, and that interpretation has been passed down for generations, which is why we have given you something new. And then we had our messenger live his entire life. He's 73 years old. He went through every human condition that you can possibly imagine, and because of our work, that is all healed, and that is what we wanted to leave with all of you. Because the more of you understand how you can raise your consciousness and perform miraculous things within your own lives and within your bodies, you pass that on to others. We've talked about evolution so often because many of you don't seem to understand. You are the ones who are causing it to happen, but that can only happen when you decide to love and accept who you are in every aspect of your journey. We keep saying that because many of you are bumping into things that are difficult right now, and you don't understand why you're having these difficulties, why you're having lack, why you're having fear, why you're having doubt, why you're having judgment. It's because those are exactly the things that you wanted to move through in this lifetime. And if you do that, you start to shift the energy within yourself and on your planet. And as you will go back and notice, we've given you so many other things that you each have these difficulties you hold back because you don't think you're enough, or you think you're some imposter. None of you are that. This is why we wanted you to work through everything. Now, we will say this because none of you have done this, and our messenger hasn't done it, which is why we're pulling it out now, because there are energetic changes that are happening in your world now and in this next week, especially in the United States. So we always get out ahead of it because we wanted you to love yourself, because you're going to see more chaos, you're going to see more disruption, but we wanted you to understand that's purposeful because it gets you to choose your higher state of being. You're not supposed to be angry. You don't need to have that. You don't need to have hatred. You don't need to have judgment. You don't need to have any of those things, but you've placed them on yourselves. And so when you can release them from yourselves, then you release it from everyone else. And this is what we have given you to understand the vital importance you hold at this moment in your life, on your evolutionary journey, on this planet, which we have called your planetary ascension. Now, we will show you that this is going to change, and why we're doing this today is because we have set up everything. We've given you everything in advance. We know that's a challenging concept for many of you to accept. It was challenging for our messenger, and we keep surprising him. This is why we did this today. And you'll see that we had him do another message yesterday that said, you might accept more today. That's on the website, Any Advice for Today, which you can find so many others where we've given you many other messages, and we've used the synchronicity of dates because we want you to understand there is an order in your universe. You each have this divine plan, this place, however you want to think of it, but it is connected to the universe. There's no one separate, except you make yourself separate by your consciousness and what you've been taught about yourself, and when you refuse to move over the limitations that have existed within you. If you do that, then you keep carrying them on. So we thought you might want to make a different choice this time, which is why we gave you a new philosophy. And we said this philosophy is for your new world, because you can't go into your new world if you're going to carry all your old baggage. That is the ascension that we have told you, which is the ascension guide we have given you. None of you need to suffer. None of you need to struggle, because we've had our being move through all of this to show you how to do it. To show you how to accomplish the mind-body healing and connection on this message that we have there. And we'll leave a copy within this video so you can read it, because we'd like for you to have it. When he had the awareness, oh, wait a minute, he's hearing Christian Science and he's thinking, is that why I'm here? Because you all have things within your histories that are telling you why you exist now, and you can make it more. You can make it better. That's what the ability that you hold within you. You just needed a guide, and we have given you a guide, and we've shown you the results of that because of how it's informed his life and how he's ended up at this age, reverse aging at this time, and having no judgment about you. This is why we've said that he can answer all of your questions, because when he's speaking to us, he has access to a different level of consciousness. You all could do that, but it just may take you a little bit of time. And so what we are doing now is we're pushing him, because he must finish just like you all must. We're saying finish. That means complete another part of your journey. You each have one, and it's valuable. And when you can do that, when you can own it and see it and stop being afraid of yourself, then you live the life you're supposed to have, and you add that to your world. Now, we did something else, because he's going to have an interview that's going to be released on this coming Wednesday, on September the 11th. But what we would like for all of you to do is to go to our site, anyadvicefortoday.com, and look at the message that we gave him last year on September the 11th. We actually gave it to you all, but he's going to interpret it, because that's when that episode will come out, and he will also be revealing our work for the first time to thousands of people, which is something he would never have done, because he was hiding out. And we're saying that because many of you have been doing that. And this is the time that you're supposed to break out. This is the time you're meant to shine in your life. And we have given you a way of doing that. And it is within all of the work and all the philosophy that we've given you. The only thing that we haven't done prior to this is convinced our messenger to finish it, because we've given him 35 years of the most powerful mindset, self-actualization, and personal development work that you could have, and it is your ascension guide, because then you start to understand that your life mattered. You start to understand that you came to the physical world to perform this wonderful task, and that was of becoming yourself. There's nothing more valuable than you doing that. And to show you the synchronicity of all of this, which you've mentioned before, but we want you to have it again today, because none of you understand what you're creating at the time that you're doing it, which is why we have you go back and look at it so you can ascertain the worth and value that you have gained. And so in 1987, we had our messenger write 3 songs that we wanted you all to understand today. Yes, that's how time works sometimes, because you don't understand it or accept it. The first song was called Better Than Me, because we wanted you to understand and to accept no one is better than you. And you're not better than anyone else. And that concept for all of you, the more of you can get to that, you move beyond the duality you've been living with, and then you start to create the life that you want to have, and you make a contribution to your world. Then we gave you something else. We said, listen to your heart, and you'll always know the right way, because your heart is that guidance that exists within each of you. All we do is awaken it. That's what happens when we have you do our work, and many of you are so surprised at how quickly it works. Well, it works because we're speaking from cosmic consciousness, and we're speaking to your higher self, and now you hear us, and we gave you that message. We think you can hear us now. That's why we keep saying that, because it takes a while before you get there. And then the last song that we had him write, which we wanted you all to use now, was called Help the World to Mend. See, you all do that. When you start to mend within yourself, when you start to love who you are and bring yourself back together, moving more to wholeness, so does your world. And now you understand what we have given you. And we wanted to explain it today because we need our messenger to embody that so that he can continue with this work fully. And we want each of you to do, because you each have something within you that is waiting to be developed and move to a higher level at this time in your world, and we want you to do it now, and especially this week. And if you do that, you will see that your life will start to move in a much different direction, and so will your world. And you will stop doubting that we have given you everything, because that's what's gone on. And we've gone through these extra lengths just this week to give you so many messages to show you the order, the synchronicity of your world and your universe. That is why you are alive. We can't force you to believe believe in your worth and value. We can just tell you that we know that it is there, and we have given you everything that could bring it out, that could cause you to become the person you were meant to become and to love yourself. That was our only message ever. And we love you all so much.